Pull up that easy chair and sit right down for the best music in your town.
Here on Way Back with Johnny. Now don't turn that dial. The program's about to begin.
It's Canada Day, up Canada way, on the first day of
There's
July.
a love knot in my Lariat, and it's waiting for my little prairie
to and fro. Nova Scotia is my sanctuary, and I love it so.
Good morning, friends and listeners. Way Back with Johnny here on CFRC and also www.oshrocks.com. I'd like to invite y'all into the next 2 hours as we pay tribute to Canada Day and all Canadian country music. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this trip down memory lane into the archives of great Canadian country music. And yes, welcome in.
Under the pale blue snow where it's 99 below, and the polar bears are roaming o'er the plain, in the shadow of the pole and I'll
Canadian Pacific, take me to my baby's arms. Canadian Pacific, carry me 3,000 miles.
Our way of life is not as tough or as harsh as it may seem. This is the life that most men live, but only in their dream. Stompin' Tom here, as a small Canadian from the smallest province in Canada, who never thought he was anything more than a Canadian. I'd like to wish all Canadians a very happy birthday. This is a year that Canada is in crisis, and this is a year when we have to prove that we are Canadians. We will always be Canadians. We'll stick together through thick and thin, no matter from where we're from. We may be Indigenous, or we may be from other countries, but whatever we can do to keep this country together on this birthday, we have to do all that we can, and we have to wish every province will stay within the fold. As Stompin' Tom from Skinner's Pond, and as an ordinary Canadian, I want all Canadians to be ordinary and have a heart that is going to keep this country together forever. Happy birthday, Canada.
Morning, friends and listeners, and happy Canada Day long weekend to each and every one of you in downtown Kingston listening area. We are still coming to you, as we always do, via the Woodlock Ranch and Studios here in Cornwall, Ontario on the St. Lawrence Seaway, but we can also be heard via our historic airwaves at CFRC 1019 FM from the heart of the limestone city of Kingston, Ontario, Canada, and also www.oshrocks.com, as well as YouTube via our YouTube channel at Way Back with Johnny Woodlock. I'd like to welcome you all into this weekend's program dedicated to all Canadian country music, as this is Canada Day long weekend, and with that mentioned, it is the 29th of June. However, we won't be on the air on Tuesday, so we are going to celebrate Canada Day today. Canada, of course, was founded on July 1st of 1867, and in fact, in my opinion, it is the greatest country in all of the world. And with that mentioned, we should be proud Canadians, especially this year. Anyway, we would like to open up today's program with none other than a patriotic song by our true king of Canadian country music, which of course is none other than Stompin' Tom Connors, and a song simply titled Believe in Your Country. Then we'll follow with the legendary Marg Osborne of the Don Messer Islanders, and she did a wonderful version of an old song that many have recorded over the years, and it's going to be a song titled Something to Sing About. With that, I would like to welcome you all in and say Happy Canada Day long weekend to each and every one of you listening in to the Way Back with Johnny show here on this great channel. Welcome in, friends. Now, elbows up.
Goodbye, Jim and Jackie. Goodbye, John and May. We hate to see you leaving, bound for the USA. But if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. I know the times are changing, factories closing down, but if you stay and help us, we can turn these things around. But if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. And while our politicians divide our precious land, we speak in French and English, but they still don't understand. If you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. In a land that's short on heroes, they trade our jobs away. And we don't need no zeros to come and help us save the day. So if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. And if you should find your heaven where stars and stripes are flown, you'll learn to stand more proudly than you ever stood back home. And they'll tell you that your country must come before yourself, or you'll have to serve your country by living somewhere else. So goodbye Jim and Jackie, goodbye John and May. We hope that you'll be happy living in the USA. 'Cause if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. If you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else.
I have walked across the sands of the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, lays on the ridge of the Miramichi, watch the waves tear and roar at the stone coast of Labrador, watch them roll back to the great northern sea. From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highlands, across the prairies, the lakes, to Ontario's towers, from the sound of Mount Royal's chimes out to the Maritimes, something to sing about this land of ours. I have watched the dawn from the fields of Saskatchewan, followed the sun to the Vancouver shore, watched the quick shining ooh on the snow peaks of Caribou, up to the clouds where the wild Rockies soar. From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highlands, across the prairies, the lakes, to Ontario's towers, from the sound of Mount Royal's chimes out to the Maritimes, something to sing about this land of ours. I have wandered my way to the wildwoods of Hudson Bay, treated my toes to Quebec's morning dew, heard the sweet summer breeze in the leaves of the maple trees, sharing the song that I'm singing for you. From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highlands, across the prairies, the lakes, to Ontario's towers, from the sound of Mount Royal's chimes out to the Maritimes, something to sing about this land of ours. From the Vancouver Island to the Alberta Highlands, across the prairies, the lakes, to Ontario's towers, from the sound of Mount Royal's chimes out to the Maritimes, something to sing about this land of ours.
Well, yes, friends, following those opening songs, we're back here on the Way Back with Johnny show, and it's once again that time in the program to send out some very special dedications to my dear friends and family out there listening in. First of all, for Mama Dawn today, it'll be a classic by our Canadian queen of country music, none other than Miss Carol Baker. It's going to be a song going out to Mama today titled A Star in Mama's Eyes. Then we'll follow a song going out in loving memory of my late Granny Marg, and she was born on the east coast of Canada in Great Cape Cape Breton Island in a small village called Grand River, Cape Breton Island. And I have a lot of fond memories of my late granny, especially around this time of year when I was growing up. She would often make a strawberry shortcake that resembled a Canadian flag. So in memory of Granny, it's going to be the singing ranger Hank Snow and his all-time classic titled Nova Scotia Home. Then we'll follow with a song going out in loving memory of my late grandmother who lived in the west of Alberta, Milk River, Alberta, for over 60 years. Sadly passed away in February of this year, but in memory of Grandma Mabel, it'll be a classic by Ian Tyson called Springtime in Alberta. With that, I would like to say good morning to all my listeners out there in Radio World, and also a happy Canada Day long weekend to each and every one of you.
Mama sure could sing a pretty song, and when she'd sing around the house, I'd always sing along. She could have been a big star overnight, but she gave up her dreams to be a mother and a wife. So Mama never got her chance to shine. Mama said I had that magic touch. She told me I could reach the top if I tried hard enough. She said, honey, I've got faith in you. I know it's too late to do the things I wanted to, but someday I'll realize my dreams in you. I'll always be a star in Mama's eyes. She's the reason why I'm here. She's the reason why I try. If I never make the top, if I never get to shine, there's still one place that I'll be shining bright. I'll always be a star in Mama's eyes. Now singing seldom lets me stay at home, and I've been on the road so much I'm used to being gone. There's times when the crowd won't let me shine, but they can't dim the dream that me and Mama have in mind. I'll always be a star in Mama's eyes. I'll always be a star in Mama's eyes. She's the reason why I'm here. She's the reason why I try. If I never make the top, if I never get to shine, there's still one place that I'll be shining bright. I'll always be a star in Mama's eyes. Yes, I'll always be a star in Mama's eyes.
There's a place I'll always cherish neath the blue Atlantic skies, where the shores down in Cape Breton bids the golden sun to rise, and the fragrance of the apple blossom sprays the dew-kissed lawn, back in dear old Nova Scotia, the place where I was born. The Scotian and the Ocean Limited and the Maritime Express, their mighty engines throbbing make their way towards the west, and the sturdy fishing schooner sways so lazily to and fro. Nova Scotia is my sanctuary and I love it so. traveled far and wide, where the shores out in Vancouver kiss the blue Pacific tide. I have crossed the snow-capped Rockies, saw the wheat fields golden blaze, headed back to Nova Scotia where contented cattle graze, where the purdy robin redbreast seeks its loved ones in the tree, and the French dialect in old Quebec keeps calling out to me. It seems to say, be on your way, there's a welcome at the door, where the kinfolks are waiting on that gay Atlantic shore. New Brunswick and across to PEI to the rock-bound coast of Newfoundland. I'll love them till I die. But if God came here on earth with us and asked if he could rest, I'd take him to my Nova Scotia home, the place that I love best.
Should have seen it in your eyes. I could never read your eyes. So lost in love was I. They'd always take me by surprise. You were dreaming of the Southland. Ah, your love comes and goes. It's just like the weather, babe. Only heaven really knows. Just like springtime in Alberta, warm sunny days and the skies are blue. Then without a warning, another winter storm comes raging through, and the mercury's falling. I'm left all alone. Springtime in Alberta chills me to the bone. I can see the storm clouds coming. Lord, they're dark across the sky. The same look that I've seen so many times when I've looked into your eyes. So I'll turn up my old collar, pull my hat way down low. All the wind's getting cold now, dropping down to near zero. Just like springtime in Alberta, warm sunny days, endless skies are blue. Then without a warning, another winter storm comes raging through, and the mercury's falling. I'm left all alone. Springtime in Alberta chills me to the bone. Springtime in Alberta chills to the bone.
of Steel Guitars of Canada, and you are listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on the Way Back Keep Stealing, but don't get caught.
Now friends, it's once again that time of the week to take our weekly trip to one of my most favorite places in all of Canada. That, of course, is the mighty valley we call the Ottawa. With that shared, I would like to send the happiest of greetings out to my radio family in Eganville, Ontario, Uncle Ray and Aunt Margie Chapisky. It's going to be a song for them today by none other than Hank Rivers, also forever remembered as Henri LaRiviere, and for them as well as Tim LaRiviere, it's going to be Hank Rivers and the Confederation Train. Then we'll pay tribute to our dear friends in radio, Vic and Linda May Garbett of Arnprior, Ontario. For them today, it's going to be a song called Johnny Canuck by none other than the late great Canadian plowboy Orville Prophet. And this, of course, was made famous by Orville Prophet many years ago. Then we wrap up with another pioneer and legend of our valley that we call the Ottawa, and that, of course, is none other than my dear friend from Brockville, Ontario, Tom Wilson, and a live version of All Canadian Boy. With that, I would like to send my happiest of Canada Day wishes out to one proud Canadian. That, of course, is my dear friend Tom Wilson in Brockville. With that, I would like to say good morning to all the listeners out the valley way, and also good day to the valley. Welcome in, friends.
All aboard the Confederation train, the masterpiece of railroad fame, from coast to coast, just a moving right along. Across the prairie like a shooting star, hear that whistle from afar, to the click-clack of the wheels, and I'll be gone. Now every heart will fill with pride as she takes those mountains in her stride, like a hound dog coming when we call its name. I'm sure she'll be a big success on the goodwill tour of happiness, riding the new Confederation train. For Expo 67 we'll go down to Montreal. Folks will come from miles away with a great big powy wall. You'll hear the song, "Oh Canada," on the colored train of fame, going to ride to glory on the Confederation train. I dreamed I was the engineer for the big Centennial Expo year. Hear the wind join in the sweet refrain. We're all heading for the Expo Fair, and I'm sure I'll see you there, riding the new Confederation train. Give our Canada 3 happy cheers. We made it through 100 years. Our province is so big and grand we love. Let us live in peace and harmony. We'll be as happy as can be, trusting the Lord in heaven up above. For Expo 62nd, we'll go down to Montreal. Folks will come from miles away with a great big powy wall. You'll hear the song, "Oh Canada," on the colored train of fame, going right to glory on the Confederation train. Confederation train.
Johnny Canuck is his name. He's the man who'll light the flame. He'll lead his country's fight. He'll destroy the foreign blight. Johnny Canuck is our hero's name. Johnny Canuck will break the chains. Johnny Canuck will stop the change. He'll lead his country's fight, fight back the nation's right. Johnny Canuck is our hero's name. This is your land, this is your home, this is the place that you should own. But there are those who steal your rights if you fail to see the light. But in this land of Canada lives the hero, brave and bold. Johnny Canuck is his name. He's the man who light the flame. He lead his country's fight. He'll destroy the foreign light. Johnny Canuck is our hero's name. Through his everlasting fame, things will never be the same. This is a shining hour Let's show them Canadian power. Johnny Canuck is our hero's name. Who is everlasting fame? Things will never be the same. This is our shining hour. Let's show them Canadian power. Johnny Canuck is our hero's name. Who is everlasting fame? Things will never be the same. This is our shining hour. Let's show them Canadian power. Johnny Canuck is our hero's name. Who is everlasting fame? Things will never be the same. This is our shining hour. Let's show them Canadian power. Johnny Canuck is our hero's name.
He's an all-Canadian boy, and he fills our hearts with joy. Paperballing all the girls, throwing gum in sisters' curls, BB gunning passers-by with a twinkle in his eye. He's a youngster full of fun, and we're proud to call him son. We went fishing, me and him, and he knew I couldn't swim. So the playful little lad liked to drown his dear old dad. Though I nearly died from cold, his mother said, don't scold. He's a youngster full of fun, and we're proud to call him son. Pushed Grandma down the stairs, then he knelt and said his prayers, while he blessed us one and all, then set fire to the hall. While the firemen fought the fire, my boy punctured all their tires. He's a youngster full of fun, and we're proud to call him son. Then he poisoned Grandma's tea, now she lies in agony. Made his mother kind of vexed, wonder what will he do next. When he shot the neighbor's goat, we just said it's wild oats. He's a youngster full of fun, and we're proud to call him son. Now our life just seems so tame since the paddy wagon came. They took our boy away, and we miss him more each day. We just sit and stare in vain through each broken window pane. He's a youngster full of fun, and we're proud to call him son. Well, he's an all-Canadian boy, and he fills our hearts with joy. Paperballing all the girls, throwing gum in sisters' curls, BB gunning passers-by with a twinkle in his eye. He's a youngster full of fun, and we're proud to call him son.
Now I left her in the mountains in the golden summertime, and I told her not to worry, little darling gal of mine.
Hello, this is Ann Allen, wife of Ward Allen, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on the way back. Thank you very much for listening.
Ward Allen, he played fiddle, folks will come from far away to the maple sugar hole down on our happy weather.
Now, friends, it's once again that time in the program to welcome a very special guest of honor onto our program this morning. In honor of Canada Day 2025, this is our first special guest of 3 special guest interviews today. And this man, for over 30 years, has been promoting and supporting Canadian country music. He calls himself the Canadian Troubadour, and that is, of course, none other than Doug Smith. I'd like to welcome Doug Smith to our program today. Following this interview with Doug, we will hear an all-time favorite of his that he wrote and recorded titled I Am a Proud Canadian. So with that, here now is our first guest of 3, Mr. Doug Smith, best known as Ottawa Valley's own Canadian Troubadour.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doug. How are you today?
Excellent.
That's great, great. Let's go back to when and how you first got into country music.
Well, that was, I started playing the guitar at 54. And the reason I started playing the guitar was just for having some fun.
Yes.
And then before Stompin' Tom passed away, Stompin' Tom put out a notice to Canadians. He said that more Canadians really need to sing more songs about Canada. And I thought, well, I could do that.
Exactly.
I could figure out a song to do, so I sat down and wrote I Am Canadian. And it's a fun song about Canada. It's about, making a little bit of fun about us. Making fun of, beaver tails and hockey. And, some people say that, we're mean if we call someone
Canuck,
a Newfie. Or a Canuck, or a Newfie, or even the fun they're making of Beaujeu High.
Yes.
And a lot of people make fun of us saying "a."
Exactly. That's right. Yes.
So I put that all into one song, and it's if people get a chance to listen to it, it's funny, and there is a video on YouTube for it as well.
There sure is, and it's a great one too. Yes. Now I also understand that you dropped the name Don Cherry in this song as well.
Yes, well, he was very much a fabric of Canada
exactly.
on the hockey night, and for many, many years. And I was trying to think of as many Canadian things that I could put into a song and a video, of as many items, that shows what Canada is about. And
exactly.
We're okay making fun about ourselves. Because
that's right.
We don't, Canadians don't beat their chest.
No, that's right.
And say, "Oh, I'm Canadian." No, we don't do that.
No.
But we are very patriotic. We don't sing about it enough, or we don't
promote it.
I have noticed that especially with things going on in the States recently, that many, many more people are buying flags.
Yes.
Everywhere I drive now, I see more and more Canadian flags popping up, and it does make you feel, proud to be Canadian.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we installed a 40-foot flag pole.
Yes.
And we have a 12-foot Canadian flag at the top. And
nice.
We've made it almost like a marker, then people see it when they're driving down the highway. And
that's the way it should be, exactly.
And every July the 1st, we change for a new flag.
Is that right? Yes?
Yeah, it's a little family thing that we do, and we kind of make a little ceremony out of it, but it's very proud. I'm an immigrant to Canada.
Yes, we're born in Scotland, I understand.
Yes, born in Scotland and emigrated to Canada in 1965. And, so we've been in Canada a long, long time, and I served 20 years in the Canadian Forces.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Canadians, I served 8 years in Europe.
Okay.
In Germany, and worked with over 16 countries. With the military while I was there in Germany. And I have to tell you that everywhere we went, Canadian military and Canadians in general are so well respected around the world.
Yes.
So much so, and maybe this isn't a surprise to people, but while we were there, we did run into a number of tourists wearing Canadian items, but they were actually American.
Okay, yes.
They felt safer to wear something Canadian, but
I've heard that many a times. Yes, I have, from different people. Yes.
Yeah, and it really was true. People did that just so they would, be well received.
I see. Yes. Now, looking at the musical influence Canada has had on Canadian but also country music, what makes it so unique in your opinion, Doug?
I think because Canadians are a melting pot from around the world, we bring a unique, what would I say? We're hardworking people, Canada was not a very easy country to settle into. And a lot of people had to, when you go and visit Upper Canada Village, for example,
yes,
and you see the things that people had to make by hand and how they built the houses back then, but clearing the land was difficult. It wasn't easy of just go setting up some houses.
No, exactly. For sure, yeah.
They had all the bush and the rocks, and it took many, many years before a lot of land became usable for farming. We have a pretty harsh weather.
Yes, we do. Very hard climate to get adapted to, exactly.
And the 5 seasons are difficult, spring, summer, Winter, fall, and construction.
Yes, exactly, yes. And also, I was going to say, even in this past month of May, we even had everything in the same day sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
oh,
all
yeah.
4 seasons at once. Tell us about your adopted the name, the Canadian Troubadour. How did that come about?
Well, my name Doug Smith is very common. And I thought to myself on a marketing, I put my business hat on and I said, okay, if I'm going to make music, how am I going to become memorable? Doug Smith, there's a lot of guitarists that are named Doug Smith, and
yes,
it's just such a common name. So I said, well, let's come up with a stage name. And many famous musicians and singers have stage names.
That's right.
And as Canadian I could think of, because I'm putting now the Canadian hat on.
Yes.
And I said, well, geez, I could make a Canadian hat. I could dress and just really promote. Everything I was thinking about was promoting Canada. And so I started looking up musicians like Anne Murray, Gordon Lightfoot, Stompin' Tom. There's so many amazing, musicians and singers in Canada. When you start making a list, my God, Ian Tyson.
The list goes on and on. Exactly.
It goes on and on and on. And
exactly.
Hank Snow.
Yes.
And the one thing that I saw in many of these articles was how the writers said that this person was a great Canadian troubadour.
Yeah.
And I read that in many, many articles, and I said, I love that name. So what I did, I went searching to see if that name had been picked by anybody to use as a stage name. And I couldn't find it anywhere. No one was actually using it for their stage name. And I said, that really talks about me as well, because personally I travel place to place to place and I'm singing, and that's what a definition of a troubadour is.
Exactly.
It's a singing minstrel that travels from town to town, and I said that really does describe me. So I thought that name fits who I am.
It's been good to you ever since. Exactly.
Oh, it has. It's just made me more and more proud every time I put on the Calgary Stetson with my Canadian maple leaf on it. It's meant to stand out.
Exactly. That's right.
You know. Yeah. And I wear my and I dress country too.
Yes.
I dress with the country boots and the belts and the big buckle and bolo tie and but everything I've put on, I've tried to be
all Canadian.
Even the clothing, I try to get it all Canadian as best I can. And what's really funny is I talk to younger players about stage presence. And stage presence is not what happens when you're on the stage.
Exactly.
When we're talking about stage presence, it's when you walk in the room.
That's right, exactly, Doug. And that's what a lot of them are forgetting nowadays, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm old school, but I am not impressed with sneakers and the baseball cap turned backwards.
No, exactly. That's right. I hear you. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Well, to me, that could be anybody.
It could be. But then again, look at the music that they're trying to promote nowadays. It's all the same, I find, too. There's not really any stories to it.
No, I believe music for me is telling a story.
Exactly.
And I do get many people coming up like, oh my gosh, I could hear all the words.
And you can see the words too, like the story unfolding. Exactly.
Yeah. Like I just love this. Flowers, and the ones I'm doing. I try to tell a story about Canada. Even the Maple Leaf Forever, that was a song that's over 100 years old. And it was
the original anthem, was it not?
Yes, it was the unofficial Canadian anthem for 84 years, I believe it was.
Okay, yes.
But it was very colonial. It talked about British history.
Oh,
and
I see.
I said, well, yeah, but I marched to that song in the military.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a very big marching song. It's got a good beat and it's got a good melody, written by a Canadian. I thought, I can rewrite the words. if a song is not copyrighted anymore because it's out of
circulation,
it has to be 75 years after the original writer has passed away.
I see.
So I took that melody that I loved, and we put together an amazing group of musicians to play, and I rewrote the song from front to back.
Amazing. And I'd like to play that after our interview. So tell us a little bit about what you brought to it.
Well, I wanted the song to be all about Canada, and I thought what inspired me was for this song too was a short song that we used to listen to at every beginning of the movies. If you went to any theater, they played "O Canada."
Yes, of course.
In the theater.
Another thing that has since disappeared in a lot of things.
It's disappeared.
Yeah.
And it was so patriotic. I knew how I felt standing up, and you would see this video of Canada and showing the miners and the dog sleds and the fun that Canadians had and how hardy we were, and they showed the prairies. And I said, I want to create that feeling.
Exactly.
That proud feeling. So I wanted video clips of Canada from coast to coast, and so we searched for video clips of Canadians and Canada from coast to coast, and I said, I'm going to try and pick out iconic things like Niagara Falls,
yes, of course,
Peggy's Cove, oh my God, and it was so much fun making it because I already had the melody.
Exactly.
It's a big part of music creation is to come up with a melody that works, but I already had one to me that worked.
Yeah.
So it was easy for me to just come up with the words.
With the words, exactly.
Did 10 songs that day for that album, and we left the Maple Leaf Forever as the last song of the day.
Okay.
And we went ahead, and the track is already prepared for me, and I'd already practiced the lyrics, and we did that song in one take.
Oh, wow. Amazing, yes?
Yeah, and because the feeling and everything was just there, and I was just so anxious to
get it down, exactly, yes.
And there was 3 of us in the studio, and after was done, we were looking at each other kind of surprised because sometimes you have to change something or fix something, and we all looked at each other and said, wow, that sounded really good to me.
Exactly.
And we played it back, and when we played it back, we said, that's it. It had some magic about it, and it's my #1 song in the world, by the way.
Amazing, yes. Where are you appearing this summer? You got any dates planned?
Well, I'm going to be performing in Ottawa on June the 27th.
Okay.
It's a Friday, and I'm performing at 6 to 7, and then the baseball game is on then. But I'm also performing on the 4th of July in a busker festival in Almont, Ontario.
Oh, nice.
So if people get a chance, I'm right down at the James Naismith Memorial in the center of Almont on the 4th of July, and I'll be playing from 10 a.m. till noon. So I've got a 2-hour show that I'm going to put on in Almont.
Well, that sounds good. If I could make it, I would be, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners will come out and see you, Doug, for sure.
No, it's fun, and let me know you heard me on your show. And,
yes, exactly. And that Johnny Woodlock's son is.
Well, exactly, because it's fun when people mention, Johnny told me all about you, and I say, it is a small world.
It is, that's for sure. Well, anyway, Doug, we'll take care, and you have a good Canada Day.
Yeah, same to you, Johnny. Thank you.
And God bless you. Bye-bye.
From old St. John's in Newfoundland to the Rockies and BC shores, a nation built with patriot love, our home forevermore. May our flag wave with joy and pride, and joined in love together our hopes and dreams with hearts entwined, the maple leaf forever, bound hand in hand for this great land. We stand on guard together from coast to coast, oh Canada, the maple leaf forever. From Lake Louise in Alberta to the fields of Saskatchewan, the polar bears in Manitoba, our nation brave and strong. The CN Tower in Ontario stands tall in stormy weather. Our nation's capital is Ottawa, the maple leaf forever, bound hand in hand for this great land. We stand on guard together from coast to coast, oh Canada, the maple leaf forever. Then Montreal to the walls of old Quebec, the whales and tides of New Brunswick, pirates' gold and old shipwrecks. Then Nova Scotia and PEI, the Isles of Bloom and Heather, the territories and Labrador, the maple leaf forever, bound hand in hand for this great land. We stand on guard together from coast to coast, oh Canada, the maple leaf forever, bound hand in hand for this great land. We stand on guard together from coast to coast, oh Canada, the maple leaf forever.
Grass and flower on the other side. Miles and miles of golden sand. Oh, and wildflowers grow back to the old.
Howdy y'all, this here is your old host with the most, Johnny Woodlock. I'd like to tell y'all about the upcoming 10th anniversary of the South Grenville Bluegrass Festival happening from August 7th to the 10th, 2025 this coming summer. The headliners include, but are not limited to, some of the top bluegrass musicians of today, including much beloved Queen of Bluegrass, Rhonda Vincent, as well as Larry Stevenson Band, Larry Efaw, along with many more. Tickets can be purchased for the weekend for $110 in advance. That's before July 13th. Also, day passes are available, and it's going to be a great weekend had by all. For more information, contact Kim Wallace at 613-883-3126 or by visiting southgrenvillebluegrassfestival.ca.
You were the one, but that was yes, we had Lovely Mountain home there every night. Is the grass
Well, yes, friends, following that first interview with our good friend Doug Smith, who is known as the Canadian Troubadour, we're back here once again, and it's that time in the program to turn back the years to the golden age of country music, and vinyl country music. With that mentioned, we would like to open up the Vinyl Vault door here today on what we like to call the Vinyl Blast from Vinyl Past. Now that the Vinyl Vault door is wide open, let's turn back the years and remember our beloved king of Canadian country music on this Canada Day long weekend, who was given the name Stompin' way back in 1967, making him Stompin' Tom Connors. And it's kind of ironic that it was Canada Day of 1967 that Stompin' Tom became that legend. and the myth and the pioneer of country music that he would become. I'd like to pay tribute to the early days of Stompin' Tom's career with his all-time signature song called Sudbury Saturday Night. With that said, I would also like to mention that this was first recorded on his first album titled The Northland's Own, and is a much slower version of this song. However, I would also like to send it out to my dear friends John and Kathy up in Guelph, Ontario, who are the leaders of the online Facebook page and fan club of Stompin' Tom. So with that, here's Tom Connors and an all-time classic titled Sudbury Saturday Night.
The girls are out to bingo and the boys are getting stinko. We think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. The glasses they will tinkle when our eyes begin to twinkle, and we think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. With Irish Jim O'Connell there and Scotty Jack McDonnell, there's honky Frederick Herschel getting tight, but that's alright. There's happy German Fritzy there with Frenchie getting tipsy, and even Joe the Gypsy knows it's Saturday tonight. Now when Mary Ann and Mabel come to join us at the table and tell us how the bingo went tonight, we'll look a fright. But if they won the money, we'll be lapping up the honey boys, 'cause everything is funny, for it's Saturday tonight. Yeah, the girls are out to bingo and the boys are getting stinko. We think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. The glasses they will tinkle when our eyes begin to twinkle, and we think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. We'll drink the loot we borrowed and recuperate tomorrow, 'cause everything is wonderful tonight. We had a good fight. We ate the dilly pickle and we forgot about the nickel, and everybody's tickled, for it's Saturday tonight. The songs that we'll be singing, they might be wrong, but they'll be ringing when all the lights of town are shining bright and we're all tight. We'll get to work on Monday, but tomorrow's only Sunday, and we're out to have a fun day, for it's Saturday tonight. Yeah, the girls are out to bingo and the boys are getting stinko. We think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. The glasses they will tinkle when our eyes begin to twinkle, and we think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. We think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night.
Yes, friends, we have once again come to the end of a first hour here at Way Back with Johnny show. And with that mentioned, we would like to pay tribute to a collection of great Canadian gospel favorites. First of all, we're going to hear an all-time favorite by none other than Gordy Tapp, a dear friend of the program. And it's going to be a classic by Gordy Tapp called Rock of Ages. And then we'll wrap up this set with another all-time favorite. This time it's going to be Dick Dameron, Alberta born and raised singer-songwriter, and one of the greatest gospel songs to ever come out of Canada, in my honest opinion. And it's going to be Jesus, It's Me Again. With that, I would like to welcome y'all in and say I hope to talk to y'all on the other side of the second hour Way Back with Johnny. And welcome in, friends, and yes, happy long weekend.
Rock of ages, cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. Let the water and the blood from thy riven side which flowed be of sin the double cure. Cleanse me from its guilt and power. Not the labor of my hands can fulfill thy law's demands. Could my zeal no respite know? Could my tears forever flow? All my sin could not atone.
lately, Lord, I almost feel like dying. I wake up like a child alone at night. Sometimes, Lord, just can't keep from crying. And I can't find the strength to carry on. Jesus, it's me again. I'm on my knees again, asking you please again, reach out your hand. Jesus, it's me again, down on my knees again, begging you please again, reach out your hand. Jesus, it's me. I'm on my knees, asking you please, reach out your hand. Time to time, I've tried to find a reason, and I've talked to you a time or two before. But this time, Lord, it's more than I can handle. And I know I just can't take it anymore. Jesus, it's me again. I'm on my knees again, asking you please again, reach out your hand. Jesus, it's me again, down on my knees again, begging you please again, reach out your hand.
Hi friends, this is Stu Phillips, and you're listening to Way Back Country Jamboree with your host Johnny Woodlock on CFRC Kingston, Ontario.
And the golden poppies are blooming round the banks of Lake Louise.
Well, yes, friends, once again, we're back here on the Way Back with Johnny show. I'd like to remind y'all that we are still coming to you via the Woodlock Ranch and Studios as well, which is located in Cornwall, Ontario, on the shores of the St. Lawrence River. We can also be heard over historic CFRC 1019 FM in the heart of downtown Kingston, Ontario, the limestone city of Canada, as well as via our home on the internet at www.osherrocks.com in the Greater Toronto Area, and our YouTube channel worldwide at Way Back with Johnny. With that all shared, I would like to remind y'all that this is our Canada Day show 2025, and there has often been numerous kings and fathers of country music per se, when it comes to Canada, but one that always and will forever be the true father of Canadian country music was Wilf Carter, also forever remembered as Montana Slim. Well, I'd like to open up the second hour of today's program with a double feature of sorts to old Montana Slim himself, Wilf Carter. First, we'll hear Stompin' Tom Connor's tribute, simply titled Tribute to Wilf Carter. Then we'll hear an all-time classic from the 1967 album, God Bless Our Canada, by Wilf himself, and of course it's that title track. With that, I would like to welcome you all in and say good morning to each and every one of you listening in on these great listening platforms. Welcome in, friends, and Happy Canada Day!
Hello, friends. This is Stompin' Tom Connors, and I'd like to dedicate this song to that old Alberta cowboy himself, Wilf Carter. De-o-de-dee-de-dee, de-o-de-dee-de-dee. In the year 1904, upon a cold December morn, in Port Hilford, Nova Scotia, Wilf Carter he was born. Went to work for the local farmers at a very tender age, till the bush camps of New Brunswick hired Wilf for a better pay. And Wilf began to yodel-dee-dee in the backwoods of NB, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. From the Maritimes to Boston, now the wheat fields of the West, and the plains of old Alberta, they just seemed to suit him best. Punching cows and breaking horses was the life he loved to lead, and you'd always see Wilf Carter at the Calgary Stampede. And Wilf would always yodel-dee-dee on the streets of Calgary, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. When he sang, he played the guitar, telling stories that were true, for the songs he wrote were always about people that he knew. And he took his compositions down to Montreal by train, where he made his first recording and was on his way to fame. And Wilf began to yodel-dee-dee on the radio CBC, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Just a plain and simple cowboy with that old familiar grin. To the USA, Wilf Carter was now Montana Slim. From the hungry hobo jungles to the top recording star, and the people came by thousands when he strummed that old guitar. And Wilf would always yodel-dee-dee in a voice so young and free, with a yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Now the message of my story won't be hard to understand, and I think I speak for every hardcore country music fan. Though the modern record players have replaced the gramophone, I still love to hear Wilf Carter sing and play the cowboy songs. And Wilf can always yodel-dee-dee anytime he wants for me, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Yeah, Wilf can always yodel-dee-dee anytime he wants for me, with his yodel-dee-dee, 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 yodel-dee-dee.
The year of 1967, we celebrate our greatest jubilee. Salute our flag as it waves so proudly. Oh, Canada, our land of the free, keep it free, let's march together, let's pray together. May the good Lord be our guiding star, and grant salvation to this great nation. I'm glad that I was born in Canada. God bless our homeland, we're proud it's our land. From Newfoundland to our northern borders, sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. We all love our Canada. Let's not forget those who died that we may enjoy our freedom in this great country. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. I'm glad that I was born in Canada. God God bless our homeland, we're proud it's our land. From Newfoundland to our northern borders, sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. We all love our Canada. Let's not forget those who died that we may enjoy our freedom in this great country. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. I'm glad that I was born in Canada. I'm glad that I was born in Canada. I'm glad that I was born in Canada.
Now, friends, once again I would like to pay tribute to the great story songs as recorded by true legends of Canadian country music. With that mentioned, many years ago I grew up between the south and the north here, halfway between Florida and in the winter time and the Ottawa Valley in the summer. With that mentioned, my Granny Marg sat me down many years ago and told me to look at our own country because we had a lot of historical value too. With that mentioned, I would like to share a collection of great story songs as selected by our beloved mascot and co-hostess, Simbush the Wonder Husky. First, we'll hear from one of Canada's first cowboy singers, known as Mr. Earl Haywood, and he did a whole album on the Black Donnelly Massacre, and it's going to be called The Legend of the Old Roman Line. Then we'll follow with Stompin' Tom Connors once again, the king of Canadian country music, and an all-time classic story of the Frankie Slide that happened way out west. And then we'll follow with a song by an Ottawa Valley legend himself, and also wrote it about a family member of mine. One of my ancestors was John Wilson, who fought the last fatal duel in Perth, Ontario. With that mentioned, we will hear an all-time classic titled The Last Fatal Duel by Freddie Dixon. And then we'll wrap up with Frank Duty out of Nova Scotia there and Flight 111. With that, I would like to welcome you all in and say good morning to all my listeners out there in Radio World. And also thank you, Simbush, for your contribution to today's program.
Now here's a story, and I'll tell it in rhyme, of the silly old ghost on the old Roman line. It's as old as the hills, and it's supposed to be true. So gather round, folks, while I tell it to you.
The Donnellys came back, and they rode in disguise. Out of the graveyard you'd hear those strange cries. The old Donnelly ghosts rode time after time on their gallant black horses down the old Roman line.
The Donnelly survivors, Pat, Bill, and Bob, and Jenny, their sister, who made your heart throb, they all moved away from the scene of the crime, and only their ghosts were seen time after time. Pitchfork Tom Ryder, Brother Side Road Jim, Spady McLaughlin, who had a big devilish grin, brother-in-law Jack Kennedy, and Hatchet Purtell. These were the companions of Big Burly Jim Carroll. They were the neighbors condemned for the crime, and they kept right on living down the old Roman line. Many times it was known they were filled full of fright when they saw Donnelly ghosts in the dead of the night.
The Donnellys came back and they rode in disguise. Out of the graveyard you'd hear those strange cries. The old Donnelly ghosts rode time after time on their gallant black horses down the old Roman line.
Now there's an old legend that's been told many times about the old Donnelly ghosts on the old Roman line. It's often been said, and I guess it's true all right, you can't drive a horse down that line after night. Well, if you got past the graveyard without any harm, you'd find a horse won't pass the old Donnelly farm. I drove a nag down that road years ago. So if you're in doubt, ask me, 'cause I know. The Donnellys came back and they rode in disguise. Out of the graveyard you'd hear those strange cries. The old Donnelly ghost rode time after time on the gallant black horses down the old Roman line.
On April 22nd of 1903, from the Indian reservation came a withered old Cree. He came to the pass of the Old Crow's Nest in the rugged Rocky Mountains of the great Northwest. He came to warn the white men to leave their mining town, for the top of the Turtle Mountain, he said, was soon to come crashing down. He said that before another sun would ever come to show, that 1,000,000 tons of rock would slide to the valley far below. And oh my God, how that mountain came down. Oh, how the mountain came down, down, down. The whole town of Frank was buried in the ground. Oh my God, how that mountain came down. They laughed at the warning, and they paid him no heed. For who could trust the ravings, they said, of a crazy old Cree? That rock had been surveyed by the mining engineers, who said the mountain would be standing there for another 1,000 years. So nobody listened, and the old man, he left, and the miners were now descending for the midnight shift. The whole town was quiet now, like nothing was afoul, but a dog was heard to whimper with the strangest kind of howl. All the men were working now on the coal down below, and the monster rock was moving ever slow, slow, slow. The stealthy mountain creeping sealed the mine like a tomb on the 23rd of April, on that dark day of doom. The sun had almost risen with the miners in despair, when the top of the Turtle Mountain, it went rising up in the air. With a mighty beastly grumble like all hell was at the door, the giant rock had tumbled all across the valley floor. And oh my God, how that mountain came down. Oh, how the mountain came down, down, down. The whole town of Frank was buried in the ground. Oh my God, how that mountain came down. Now everything was silent where life once used to be. No mine, no town, no people, not a shingle could be seen. When someone found a wee baby from out of the rock, she cried. She became the sole survivor, and they called her Frankie Slide. But no amount of excavation could save another soul. The day that Turtle Mountain took its deadly human toll, and throughout the Rocky Mountains, friends, even to this very day, many people whisper and shudder, and they tremble when they say, oh my God, how that mountain came down. Oh, how the mountain came down, down, down. The whole town of Frank was buried in the ground. Oh my God, how that mountain came down. Oh, how the mountain came down, down, down.
On the banks of the Perkay River, on a cold and dark misty day, two young men they met there at daybreak. Only one lived to walk away. Now this duel, it wasn't for valor, but the jealousy and love of Miss Hughes. Robert Lyne and opponent John Wilson stood back to back to settle their feud. The last fatal duel in this country was fought here in our quiet town. And the ghost of Robert Lyon still lingers down at the old burial ground. There's seconds they called out the paces, and 10 lonely steps they each made. They fired 2 rounds at each other. Now young Lyon lies still in his grave. John Wilson stood trial down at Brockville, charged murder in the 1st degree. The Crown listened close to his story. With a warning, the judge set him free. The last fatal duel in this country was fought here in our quiet town. And the ghost of young Lyon still lingers down at the old burial ground. He then took the hand of that woman and moved up to London, they say. To duel is a crime in our country. Just remember it happened that way. The last fatal duel in this country was fought here in our quiet town. And the ghost of young Lyon still lingers down at the old burial ground. The last fatal duel in this country was fought here in our quiet town. And the ghost of young Lyon still lingers down at the old burial ground.
Just a teddy bear soaked in salt is what they found today. Peggy dear, it's not your fault, you know. Sometimes things fall from the sky, and sometimes tears fall from your eyes. While they search for something they can blame, Peggy's Cove will never be the same. Once upon a time he was the favorite toy of a little girl or little boy, till that fate-filled night left him so all alone. Taken from the ones he loved and fallen from the sky above, and wondering why it happened to him. Just a teddy bear soaked in salt is what they found today. Peggy dear, it's not your fault, you know. Sometimes things fall from the sky, and sometimes tears fall from your eyes. And while they search for something they can blame, Peggy's Cove will never be the same. Just a teddy bear soaked in salt is that's all they found today. Peggy dear, it's not your fault, you know. Sometimes things fall from the sky, and sometimes tears fall from your eyes, while they search for something they can blame. Peggy's Cove will never be the same. Peggy's Cove will never be the same.
Moonlight on the Manitoulin Island.
Hello, this is Grant Haywood, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on the Way Back Keep Traditional Country Music Alive.
Take me there and let me live and die.
Oh yes, friends, once again following those great Canadian Northern gems by even greater Canadian Northern legends, we're back here once again, and it's that time in the program to invite our very special littlest member, Gunny the Dashhound, to our program. With her selection of great Canadian province songs. With that mentioned, we were going to pay tribute to none other than the late great Gordon Lightfoot, folk singer and singer-songwriter, an all-time classic that he recorded many years ago titled Alberta Bound. Then we'll hear from Stompin' Tom Connors once again and Manitoba. And we'll wrap up this set with none other than a song taken off a tribute album to Stompin' Tom by Elmer Lamedy of Saskatchewan, and it's going to be a classic called simply Roll On Saskatchewan. With that, I would like to thank Little Gunny for her contribution to today's program and welcome you all in.
Oh, the prairie lights are burning bright, the Chinook wind is moving in. Tomorrow night I'll be Alberta bound. Though I've done the best I could, my old luck ain't been so good, and tomorrow night I'll be Alberta bound. No one I met could ever forget the Rocky Mountain sunset. It's a pleasure just to be Alberta bound. I long to see my next of kin, to know what kind of shape they're in, and tomorrow night I'll be Alberta bound. Alberta bound, Alberta bound. It's good to be Alberta bound. Alberta bound, Alberta bound. It's good to be Alberta bound. Alberta bound, Alberta bound. It's good to be Alberta bound. Alberta bound, Alberta bound. It's good to be Alberta bound. Oh, the skyline of Toronto is something you'll get onto, but they say you got to live there for a while. And if you got the money, you can get yourself a honey with a written guarantee to make you smile. But it's snowing in the city and the streets are brown and gritty, and I know there's pretty girls all over town, but they never seem to find me, and the one I left behind me is the reason that I'll be Alberta bound. Alberta bound, Alberta bound. It's good to be Alberta bound. Alberta bound, Alberta bound. It's good to be Alberta bound. It's good to be Alberta bound.
Let my heart sing an old river song as I journey back where I belong, where the wind comes to say to the river each day, roll on, Saskatchewan, roll on, Saskatchewan, from the wheat fields of my heart. Go find your way to the cool Hudson Bay and roll on, Saskatchewan. Oh, river, go whisper my prayer. Tell Mother and Dad I still care. Take this tear that I cried to the shore where we bide and roll on, Saskatchewan. Roll on, Saskatchewan, from the wheat fields of my heart. So go find your way to the cool Hudson Bay and roll on, Saskatchewan. No treasures have I to bring home to show for the years I did roam. Just a song that I know from long, long ago. Roll on, Saskatchewan. Roll on, Saskatchewan, from the wheat fields of my heart. So go find your way to the cool Hudson Bay and roll on, Saskatchewan. Roll on, Saskatchewan. Roll on, Saskatchewan.
When you mention Manitoba, I'll be mindful of the prairie in the province where the old Red River flows. It's a land of shining water, where the beaver and the otter play together, where the prairie crocus grows. Manitoba, you're my sunshine, my twilight and repose. Manitoba, you're my heaven, because it's heaven where the prairie crocus grows. When you mention Manitoba, I'll be mindful of her beauty in the evening when the sunset fades away, and the moon of golden glimmer on the wheat field seems to shimmer, and the nightbird sings the closing of the day. Manitoba, you're my sunshine, my twilight and repose. Manitoba, you're my heaven, because it's heaven where the prairie crocus grows. When you mention Manitoba, I'll be mindful of the valleys and the old brown hills calling me away, where the favors of our giver dwell among the lakes and rivers, from the U.S. line to the shores of Hudson Bay. Manitoba, you're my sunshine, my twilight and repose. Manitoba, you're my heaven, because it's heaven where the prairie locust grows. It's my heaven where the prairie locust grows.
Let's make a fair trade, your heart for mine.
Hello everybody, my name is Caroline, daughter of Bob and Mary King of the Ottawa Valley, with my good friend Johnny Woodlock on the way back.
Let's make a fair trade, your heart for mine.
Yes, friends, once again, it's that time in the program to welcome a very special second guest of honor onto the program this morning on this long weekend. And in honor of Canada Day, we have a very special guest who is keeping the legacy of truly Canadian country music alive and well in today's era. With that mentioned, this next guest calls himself the Canuck and is truly a proud Canadian country musician. With that shared, he also writes his own music, mostly based on Canadian way of life. With that mentioned, we will pay tribute to an interview I got to do with my next guest, Kevin Westthal. With that, I would like to welcome Kevin to our program this morning, and then following this interview with him, we will hear an all-time classic that he recently recorded and wrote titled Canadian Land. With that, welcome in, friends. Here's Kevin, the Canuck.
Hey, Johnny, thanks for having me on the show, bud.
Well, it's a pleasure to be talking to you. So let's go back to when and how your love for country music started.
Well, the whole little journey started back in the 90s, Johnny. I was a musician in a band here in Kitchener. I'm from the Kitchener area, and I was kind of hoover hacking around town with my bass here, playing with a band called the Saltwater Cowboys, and we were playing nightclubs and kind of touring around Ontario here, and we did pretty well at that. And then I was playing bass with these guys, and sort of like a backup harmony type singer, bass player. And then from that, it led to, in the daytime, I started writing TV jingles and radio commercials and stuff.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I found out at a young age that I had a love for writing. And I was always one of those guys that liked to be silly. I was a campfire guy. I'd grab my guitar, and if I could change the lyrics to classic hits and make things silly, that's what I was always doing.
I see.
Yeah. So writing sort of took over, and then I went from writing, dabbling with radio and TV commercials, and then in 2000, I wrote a song about high gas prices.
Yes.
And I was trying to get that to a lot of entertainers in Canada at the time. I knew I had something. I was getting media attention before it was released. I had different people asking me, what am I going to do with this? Gas is going to go through the roof. So I took that and I tried to get different people in the industry. At that time, I want to say it was, I think Ronnie Prophet looked at maybe cutting it. He wanted an American version. I tried to get it to Mr. Tom Connors. He declined. I think Red Green was also in the pitch. There was different entertainers at that time. And then the price of gas escalated so high that the TV station, our local TV station here, they had a copy of the song, and the producer here in Kitchener at CKCO said, well, if nobody's going to cut this thing, you're going to do it.
Yes.
More or less put a cowboy hat on me, and I went on TV, and that's sort of how the Canuck was started. It was an idea that started right here in Kitchener, and I went on local television, and from that it ended up on a national format. And then I found out a couple years later it actually went on an international format.
Oh wow!
When the $4 checks started coming to the house from Estonia, I started laughing. We thought we had a pretty good laugh with this. So that's how that started. And then from from there on out, it's just every year or two, I try to kick out a song or two, and I just have fun with it, eh?
For sure, for sure. Now, you also are known as the Canuck. How did that start about?
Well, that again, when I did the Gas song back in 2000, the song went from being played, like, there was no internet. It was hard to track your music back then.
Yes, true.
Like Google and YouTube and all this wasn't going yet. Everything was still being done the old way. Where you would mail out a CD in an envelope and then send it to some radio station and hope they played it. That was basically what was going on then. And then once down the road, 4 or 5 years after it happened, that's when the $3 checks and the 50-cent checks started coming to the house from different areas in Europe and stuff.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And they didn't know my name. Nobody could ever remember Kevin Westfall, so a lot of these European places just referred to me as the Canoe or the Canuck, or I guess that's a slang word for
Canadian.
people from,
Exactly.
people
Yes.
from Canada, right? So I just that's how that moniker started,
I see.
and I just kind of kept it, and people kind of seem to remember it, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay, and then you also have written other Canadian songs, including the Timmy song.
Yeah, we did the Timmy song. That's a few years back too. When it was kind of funny when I wrote that, I got the line in that song, "I'm not doing nothing until I have my Tims." I actually heard a lady, an elderly lady, say that to her husband.
Is that
we were
right?
at a market.
Yes.
He was rushing her along, come on, we gotta go do this, we gotta get her shopping done, she just kind of stopped him and said, "Listen, I'm not doing nothing until I have my Tims."
Exactly. Yes.
So I read, like the light bulb went on there, and I went into the studio and I cut that, and then I didn't realize it at the time, but when I cut that was during the Afghan War, and
Okay.
that was when they just opened a Tim Hortons up in Kandahar, and they started streaming that song from Fred FM into the troops, and it was kind of a neat thing,
Exactly.
thinking,
Piece of
here we are.
home.
Here we are in the middle of a war, and they're streaming my music over. It was really a cool thing, right?
And it'd be quite the honor as well, yes.
Well, over the years, I've had a bit of luck with my timing and stuff, and
Yes.
the other thing is I'm working with great people. I have great musicians that play on these recordings. Every guy who's played on one of my recordings has a story. They've all had incredible careers behind them, and I'm thankful to have all these guys in my circle of pickers, eh?
Of course, yes, for sure. Now, also, I understand that your guitar, I see it in the 401 video, that it's signed by Tom Connors.
Yeah, so I want to say it was 2006. A dear friend of mine by the name of Al Widmeyer.
Yes, yes, good
Al
friend of mine
played,
too, yes.
Yeah, everybody knows Al. Al's a hard-traveled guy. He played with everybody in this country, and he started playing with Tom in 2006, and I think he toured with him till 2012. But it was through Al that I got to meet Tom, and Al kind of arranged it. Anyway, one night the guitars were out, and Tom and I were picking one together there, and he took the guitar from me and signed it. He says, "Do you mind if I sign that thing for you, bud?" And I said, "Not at all, sir."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So it was a neat experience there.
For sure, for sure. So you met Tom. That's amazing. Yes.
I did. I knew both, and if any of your listeners that are out there that knew Tom, like I was able. There was two versions of Tom. There was Stompin' Tom the Entertainer, and Tom Connors the person.
very private man. Yes, for sure.
And I was fortunate enough to know both those people.
Okay.
And, even to this day, I still, I think about. All I can tell you is he's probably the smartest man I'll ever meet in my life, and I'm really grateful for that experience.
For sure, for sure. Now, I was going to say, even when I do tributes to Stompin' Tom, I usually say the myth and the legend, because there was two parts of his, as you say, yes.
Well, he was just such a unique guy. He was so smart.
Exactly.
There's things that we had conversations late into the night, watching the sun come up, and to this day I still think about it. I miss the man immensely. His music will live forever.
Yes, it sure will. Yes, for sure.
Canadians absolutely love him, and he was always supportive with me with what I was. He knew what I was doing.
Yes.
And he could have, at that time when I look back on it, he could have said, get out of here, son, get out of here, kid,
Yes.
But he didn't, and he embraced what I did, and he just basically told me, he said, keep doing your thing, and if the people like it, they'll put you where you need to be.
Exactly,
right?
that's right. Now, would you say he inspires some of your songwriting? Because I know you, as we mentioned, you are very Canadian.
Yeah, he's definitely a big inspiration. Like when I was a kid growing up, that was back in the days when he was winning all his Junos, and back in those days, Canadian entertainment was very popular. There was shows and TV shows and radio programs, and entertainers got promoted like in this country. Like not that they don't now, but it was just seemed a little stronger back then.
Yes.
And yeah, Tom was definitely a major influence. I thought, like, I can remember being, 4 or 5 years old, watching him on TV, thinking this is the coolest dude I think I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Like,
yes.
next to my father.
Yes, of course.
My father's pretty cool too.
Yes.
When I was a kid, my dad was playing all them old hotels, like what we'd see on TV with Tom or whatever. My dad, he's from that same era.
I see.
And it was a big inspiration, right?
So who would your father have been? For sure. So on that note, what does it mean to be a Canadian on this Canada Day weekend?
Well, I'll tell you, what does it mean to be a Canadian? I love this country so much. We've been through a lot in the last, call it 10 years.
Yeah.
And this country's been bent, stomped on, stepped. But what does it mean? It means that we're a strong country, and it's going to take a lot more than that to sink us, because the country, I think now, is stronger than it's been in a long time.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we're heading into some good times, but you can never give up on it, eh?
That's
you gotta
right.
Stick with her.
And we got to, as Tom would say, believe in our country. Exactly. Yes.
And you know what? I think a lot of people
are finally doing that.
I think all the nonsense and the shenanigans and all the stuff going on across the border has brought us
stronger.
It's brought us more like together, right?
Exactly. That's right. So tell us about this new song you have out called Canadian Land.
Well, Canadian Land, that I wrote that when the dollar was actually, I wrote it a while ago, and it sat in the can, so to speak. We went and cut it in town at a studio here. I had a couple of guys on the session there. I think Doug Dietrich played steel guitar, Steve Cable played lead guitar, Al Widmeyer played the rhythm guitar sections, and Grant Haywood played the drums.
Yes, good friend of mine, Grant. Yes.
He's a great guy. We went in and we cut this thing when the dollar was low, like the exchange rate. And I just sort of, my idea behind it was, it is what it is today. It's always, my view's always been this way. Like, I'm not really an American traveler.
Yeah, okay.
I only play in my own yard here.
I see.
And I tend to kind of hoover hack around Ontario here with my buddies, and I'll be damned if I'm going to pay an exchange rate.
I hear you there, yes, for sure. Exactly.
So I wrote this song, and then all of a sudden we went in and cut it, and then the exchange rate, the dollar dropped, and the stuff sparked across in the States with Canadian traveling, and all this nonsense started. And then a fella by the name of Danny Bailey that shoots videos here, I met with him over the winter, and I said, hey, let's get a video out for this. So
and it's a great video, by the way. Yes, it's a great video. Yes. So where can our listeners go to see these videos that we've been talking about?
Yeah, you just call up old Kevy Canuck or Kevin Westfall. It's all on YouTube. Everything we shoot, we put up on YouTube.
Okay.
Canadian Land's only been up, it's fresh. So I appreciate your support with it. Maybe we can get some people watching it.
Well, it's a great, yes. Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can send a message with it, eh?
Exactly,
Keep your money in
that's
Canada.
right. That's right. So, exactly. Well, with that, we wish you a very happy Canada Day, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'd love to have you back on the air at some point.
Oh, I'd love to come back, Johnny. Hey, listen, how are you celebrating Dominion Day?
Well, with a lot of Canadian country music like your own, yes, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, whatever you end up doing, you make sure you have a good day. She's the greatest country in the world, eh?
You got that right. That's right.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yes.
Well, holiday time is a-comin', and I'll soon be on the go. I can't afford to roam too far from home with the dollar down real low. I won't lose $40 on 100, not with my holiday plan. I'm packing my bags, taking these white bags, traveling Canadian land. With the bears and the rocks and the birds and the bees and the moose and the fox and the tall pine trees where a Polly Looney on one leg can still stand. I won't lose $40 on 100, not with my holiday plan. I'll be packing my bags, taking these white legs and traveling Canadian land. Well, we're in a little pop-up trailer, or better yet, a Winnebago. And I'll see the pretty of every town and city as I tour Ontario. I might head out west through the prairies, or Quebec out to Newfoundland. Why lose $40 on 100 when you can travel on Canadian land? With the bears and the rocks and the birds and the bees and the moose and the fox and the tall pine trees where a Polly Looney on one leg can still stand. I won't lose $40 on 100, not with my holiday plans. I'll be packing my bags, taking these white bags and traveling Canadian land. I won't lose $40 on 100, oh, not with my holiday plans. I'll be packing my bags, taking these white legs and traveling Canadian land. I'll be packing my bags, taking these white legs and traveling Canadian land. Oh, Lake Huron sure is nice this time of year. Yeah, 4th of May, here I go. Bonjour to Quebec. Yeah, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland.
Yes, friends, once again, it's that time in the program to pay tribute to a special song before we send us into the third and final hour. With that mentioned, I would like to pay tribute to a song that inspired a lot of airplay during the early part of the year, and I still do enjoy playing it every now and then. That is a song by Chad Matthews of Prince Edward Island and called 51st State A. With that, we'll send this out to Chad and all the listeners down there in the Garden Island of the Atlantic Ocean. With that, here we go with a great song and a great message to all those that want to make this, yes, their 51st state, which it never will be. Welcome in, friends.
We've got this good old country, it's better than the rest. The people, places, and scenery, like no others, I'll confess. Some people want to change it and call it as their own. This makes me so darn angry, and I know I'm not alone. So let's keep our meat and veggies, let's keep our gas and oil. We're kind, we want to share it before it gets spoiled. So listen, all Canadians, When you get to the pearly gates, you can tell the big guy upstairs they can keep their 51st date. The red and white still flying high, strong, proud, and free. The greatest country in the world for all of us to see. So we'll keep our ketchup and mayo, we'll keep our cars and freight. Oh, in case you have forgotten, you can keep your 51st state. So let's all stick together and never back down. We're rough and tough and able, and we won't be thrown around. From the Rock to the Rockies and everywhere in between, be proud of our land, stand up for our land. So smile and be happy and try not to hate. We really don't want it, you can keep your 51st state. Yeah, cheers. You can keep your 51st state.
And yes, friends, following that classic by our dear friend Chad Matthews of Prince Edward Island, we are back here once again, and it's that time in the program to send us into the third and final hour for this week. With that mentioned, we have one more great hour of country classics, Canadian country classics, that is, on the other side of the hour. Anyway, let's put on some sacred gospel songs first. It'll be a song that Canadian country gentleman Tommy Hunter recorded many years ago, and it's a truly Canadian written song that was penned by Joseph M. Scriven in 1855 while living in Port Hope, Ontario. The poem at the time was never written to be published. It was written simply as a comfort to his ailing mother in Ireland. With that mentioned, we will pay tribute to Joseph M. Scriven and also the Canadian country gentleman Tommy Hunter with none other than a classic titled What a Friend We Have in Jesus. Then we'll follow with that with none other than a song by Miss Anne Murray, the snowbird of Canadian country music as well, and her version of It Is No Secret. With that, I hope y'all stay around for another hour of great classic country music, and yes, we'll talk to y'all on the other side of the third and final hour.
What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend so faithful who will all our sorrows share? Jesus Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer.
The chimes of time ring out the news. Another day is through. Someone slipped and fell. Was that someone you? You may have longed for added strength, your courage to renew. Do not be disheartened, for I have news for you. It is no secret what God can do, what He's done for others, He'll do for you. With arms wide open, He'll pardon you. It is no secret what God can do. There is no night, for in His light you'll never walk alone. Always feel at home wherever you may roam. There is no power can conquer you while God is on your side. Take Him at His promise. Don't run away and hide. It is no secret what God can do, what He's done for others, He'll do for you. With arms wide open, He'll pardon you. It is no secret what God can do. It is no secret what God can do.
Little village where I lived and grew has been renamed to our number 2.
Hi everyone, this is Barry Brown of the Family Brown, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on Way Back with Johnny. Keep listening, folks.
No, I can't believe God's moved 10 miles away.
Yes, friends, following those classic gospel favorites, we're back here on the Way Back with Johnny show here on CFRC 119 FM from the heart of downtown Kingston, Ontario, and also www.oshawarocks.com in the greater Toronto area of the Durham County of Oshawa. With that mentioned, we are also coming to you via the Woodlock Ranch and Studios located on the St. Lawrence Seaway of Cornwall, Ontario, where this is recorded weekly. Now, I would like to pay tribute to the 4th of July, even though we are in a Canadian-themed show, but I would like to send this out to our true friends south of the border, Jimmy and Debbie Rogers of upstate New York. With that, them along with myself don't agree with what's going on between our two countries, but I would like to pay tribute to Independence Day once again, as we usually do, because we also have a lot of great American listeners. But we're going to pay tribute to an all-time classic by Tommy Cash, known as the brother of the Man in Black, Johnny Cash, and Tears on Lincoln's Face. Then we'll follow that with an all-time favorite by Tex Ritter, America's favorite cowboy, and his all-time favorite classic of God Bless America Again. With that, I would like to welcome you all in and say Happy Independence Day to all my listeners south of the border. Welcome in, friends, and one day we will be back together as true friends and true neighbors. Welcome in, friends.
The unknown soldier's turning in his grave. Has our country gone so far it can't be saved? Will Miss Liberty ever smile again? What was built by God, will it be destroyed by man? I say Washington at Valley Forge, Jackson at New Orleans, Jim Bowie at the Alamo, they all had a common dream. See everyone in the whole wide world united as a peaceful race. We don't heed their call, this nation's gonna fall like the tears on Lincoln's face. The Prince of Peace walked among us long ago. He warned us that we'd reap just what we sow. We no longer have the faith of a mustard seed, 'cause we're sowing anger, hate, and greed. I see Washington at Valley Forge, Jackson at New Orleans, Jim Bowie at the Alamo, they all had a common dream. To see everyone in the whole wide world united as a peaceful race. And if we don't heed their call, this nation's gonna fall like the tears on Lincoln's face. I see Washington at Valley Forge, Jackson at New Orleans, Jim Bowie at the Alamo, they all had a common dream.
God bless America again. You must know the trouble that she's in. Wash her pretty face, dry her eyes, and then God bless America again. You know, I wish God would bless America again, like he did way back there when it all began. He blessed her then, but we sort of took it for granted and didn't ask again. So let's just kind of hold her hand now, that's all. In case she stumbles, let's don't let her fall. God bless America again. You must know the trouble that she's in. Wash her pretty face, dry her eyes, and then God bless America again. I don't understand everything I read and hear about what's wrong with America. When you don't have a lot of book learning, there's many things you don't understand. But I know this much, she's like a mother to me. I love her with all my heart. And let me tell you this, mister, everything I am or ever hope to be, I owe to her. God bless America again. You must know the trouble that she's in. Wash her pretty face, dry her eyes, and then God bless America again. Oh, please, God bless America again.
Once again, friends, it's that time in the program to pay tribute to the East Coast of Canada with what I like to call the Great Atlantic Lullaby. With that mentioned, I would like to send out a song to Peter and Myrna Trenholm in Pugwash, Nova Scotia today. It'll be a classic all-time song by none other than the pride of Newfoundland and also East Coast of Canada, as I often call him, Dick Nolan, and home again this year. Then we'll follow with another classic going out to John and Kathy in Guelph, Ontario by none other than Stompin' Tom Connors, and it's going to be New Brunswick and Mary. And we'll wrap up with a song going out to Alan Dalton, who lives in Prince Edward Island, and he's a good friend of mine through the fan club of Stompin' Tom, and it's going to be an all-time favorite by none other than Jack Kingston, who was known around this area as a great country music legend back in the day. And it's going to be Prince Edward Island is Heaven to Me. With that, I would like to send these all out east of the Quebec border and also wish y'all a happy Canada Day down east. Welcome in, friends.
Well, it's so old but ever new, Newfoundland. Gentle women, happy children, brawny men. Laughter, work, and danger is all we understand. It's so old but ever new, Newfoundland. In the gray Atlantic water sits old Newfoundland, like a great ship on the ocean with the good Lord in command. We're leaving now, we're pulling out, no more can we delay. We're headed for the port of success, and now we're on our way. It's so old but ever new, Newfoundland. And see the west coast mountains with their pretty coat of green. See the pretty water, it becomes an angler's dream. Far away in the wilderness, a hunter's dream comes true as he tracks down the mighty moose, the bear, the caribou. It's so old but ever new, Newfoundland. And see the little fishing boats and the happy fishermen making their living in the freedom of an Atlantic wind. Alone on that great ocean with a seagull up above, he's just asking for $1 for the family that he loves. It's so old but ever new, Newfoundland. Gentle women, happy children, brawny men. Laughter, work and danger is all we understand. It's so old but ever new, Newfoundland. Yes, it's so old but ever new, Newfoundland.
I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary. I'll bet the salmon are all running now along the old Miramichi, and in Woodstock the potatoes will be doing fine. While away out west in the wheat fields, with Mary still in my heart, I've got far away New Brunswick in my mind. And I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary. I can see the cattle just coming home in Sussex where Mary lives, and I catch the glimpse of a moose in the lonesome pine. While away out west in the wheat fields, with Mary's love in my heart, I've got far away New Brunswick in my mind. And I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary. I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary.
Talk about Texas, Kentucky, and Maine. They talk about London, Paris, and Spain. But there's a little island I long there to be. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me. The shores are so pretty, the fields are so green. The roads are so winding, with a Scotsman you'll see. The air is so pure and the people so gay. Prince Edward Island, I'm coming to stay. They talk about Texas, Kentucky, and Maine. They talk about London, Paris, and Spain. But there's a little island I long there to be. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me. Soil is so fertile, so rich and so rare. It yields us potatoes which none can compare. The tourists are welcome to walk its great soil. The farmers are happy to work and to toil. They talk about Texas, Kentucky, and Maine. They talk about London, Paris, and Spain. But there's a little island I long there to be. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me. There's thousands of islands in this land of ours, like rock in the ocean or dew on the flowers. touch of God's great hand, this island must be. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me. They talk about Texas, Kentucky, and Maine. They talk about London, Paris, and Spain. But there's a little island I long there to be. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me. Yes, Prince Edward Island is heaven to me.
Bet I will be the first one that you'll see.
Friends, this is recording artist and DJ Peter Trenum from Nova Scotia. You've got my friend Johnny Woodlock here on the way back, where you'll find the very best in country music.
To be ever with the Lord, you and me.
Well, now, friends, once again, it's that time in the program to pay tribute to our Canadian pride on this Way Back with Johnny Canada Day celebration. With that mentioned, I would like to pay tribute to none other than Smiley Bates, Canadian country music legend, and a song titled A Proud Canadian. Then we'll follow with another all-time favorite, this time by Michael T. Wall, and he's going to be doing his version of the old Roy Payne song titled I Wouldn't Take $1 Million for a Single Maple Leaf. And then we'll wrap up with none other than Larry Mercy of the Mercy Brothers. And of course, Larry did a beautiful song many years ago titled Canada, I Love You. With that, I would like to send these all out to our proud Canadians out there, waving your flags and saluting the maple leaf. With that, here we go with some great Canadian legends.
I've traveled across the country from the east coast to the west, and I'm convinced that Canada to me is still the best. The mountains are so pretty and waters are so blue. From St. John to Vancouver, Quebec, I love you too. Canadian, I'm so proud to be. From the Yukon's mighty rivers and the Rockies' majesty, I'll sing it from the prairies right down to old Grand Prix. Canada, I love you. You mean the world to me. I've seen North America and far across the sea, but never found the beauty like a pretty maple tree. Canadians are lucky and proud they ought to be to live in this great country, land of the brave and free. Canadian, I'm so proud to be. From the Yukon's mighty rivers and the Rockies' majesty, I'll sing it from the prairies right down to old Grand Prix. Canada, I love you. You mean the world to me. Yes, Canada, I love you. You're all I'll ever need.
I've seen a lot of sadness in the countries off this world. I've seen the starving faces of 1 million boys and girls. I walked the war-torn countrysides and the bloody, battered streets, where young men fought and died because they wanted to be free. And as I watch my children playing freely with their friends, I thank God for this country that I'm living in. There are no cries of fighting soldiers dying on our streets. I wouldn't take $1 million for a single maple leaf. When you think you've got troubles, just listen to the news, and I'm sure you'll realize, my friends, your troubles, they are few compared to those of others in the countries of this world. We live in a paradise, a rare and priceless pearl. Yes, friends, we've got so much to be grateful for all across this land, from the mighty Pacific Ocean to the shores of Newfoundland. So tonight, when your children pray down on their knees, you ask them to ask God to bless Canada and forever keep her free. And as I watch my children playing freely with their friends, I thank God for this beautiful country that we're living in. There are no cries of fighting soldiers dying on our streets. I wouldn't take $1 million for one single maple leaf. I wouldn't take $1 million for one single maple leaf.
I see your beauty every morning when the sun comes shining through. I've seen countless sights like northern lights. You're an old friend, tried and true. And in years from now, I'll remember how I was proud to take a stand. I love you, Canada, my home and native land. I see our future in our children, so proud, strong and free. One family, hand in hand, from sea to shining sea. I know this father's son is not the only one doing everything he can. I love you, Canada, my home and native land. And even with times I'm bad, and it's been hard to make it through, this country together New Canada, my home and native land.
I had an old dirty hankies mopping a face like a shoe.
This is Murray McLaughlin. I'm the guy that wrote Farmer Song. You're listening to The Way Back with my good friend, Johnny Woodlock.
Thanks for the meal. Here's a song that is real from a kid from the city to you.
Now, friends, I would like to welcome our very final interview guest of honor today to the program. This man has been for many years part of the Smiley Bates touring band, and he is today remembered as a true link to the golden age of country music through his work with Smiley Bates. With that mention, it brings me great honor to welcome, once again in time for Canada Day 2025, a dear friend of mine who I first met many years ago, and it's going to be Big Al Traynor from Oshawa, who is best remembered for his recitations and story songs. With that mentioned, many years ago he also recorded a song titled The Canadian Flag, and that is why I welcome him to the program today to share about the story of our Canadian flag. Following this interview with Big Al, we will hear that all-time classic. So with that, here's my dear friend Big Al Traynor from Oshawa.
Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Very good, and how are you, Big Al? It's been a while, but pleasure to be talking to you again.
Yes, and I'm a year older.
Yes, exactly. We all are.
Yes, I guess you all come with me. That's good.
That's right. So let's go back to, in the early days, you worked with Smiley Bates, of course.
Yes, I did.
What was he like?
He was a great patriot, too, and the best guitar player with an acoustic guitar that I ever heard. And he was a good friend. He sold albums that like you would never believe. When we were traveling, if we pulled the bus into a gas station we'd be there for an hour.
Oh, is that right? Yes.
Oh, people coming on asking, do you have any CDs? Do you have any albums or anything like that? And he'd sit there and sign them and sell them.
Yes, that's what we're missing today, Big Al, for sure.
That's right, yeah. And we traveled right from here to the East Coast.
He also recorded a song called Proud Canadian. Did you work on that one?
I worked on it after it was done.
Okay. Yeah.
I was talking the other day to the 12th fret. I don't know if you know about the 12th fret in Toronto.
No.
Music store.
Okay.
So I was in Oshawa here with Smiley and Shell, and he was recording at Ambassador Records in Oshawa.
Yes.
And he recorded that song, and Smiley was kind of the funniest thing you'd ever see. When he come in with a little milk stool.
Oh.
Into the studio.
Yes.
And he'd sit down there and he'd say, well, we're all ready, okay, just give me a few minutes to get organized here. And he'd bring out a pint of cherry whiskey.
Oh, yes.
And he'd say, well, just give me a chance to have a little warm-up here.
Yeah.
And he'd tell stories and jokes and everything like that till he finished that.
I see, yes.
And then he'd say, okay, are you guys all ready? Yeah. Okay, we're only going to do this once, eh? He said, okay, away we go. And we're starting now. I count 1, 2, 3, okay. And he'd play every song once.
And he'd do it well the first time, too, yes.
Unbelievable. You'd think he had 11 fingers.
Exactly, yes, for sure. Especially on those old ones like Golden Guitar and Old Log Cabin and those ones.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
He'd do them all. Yeah, you'll find a lot of that in my song, like My Friend Smiley Bates,
that's
that
right.
I recorded. There's stories about that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, incidentally, going back to what we were just talking about, we do the album. 2 weeks later, we'd show up at the 12th fret in Toronto, and we do it live.
Oh, yes.
Right in the music store. And that was very interesting. Because those people, when I was in there maybe 7 or 8 days ago to see about a mandolin. I wanted to get a mandolin. And anyway, they still remembered when we came in. They said, oh, I remember you, Traynor, when you came in with Bates.
And he's been gone for about 30 years now, too, so that's quite the memory they've got.
Well, that was the manager who knew that. Yeah, so that was pretty neat.
It's amazing to think that a record store is still in business in today's world from that era.
That's right. What I did a lot of things. Like, he used to do some gospel songs, and he very seldom sing with anybody, but he also used to sing with me.
Okay, yes.
And some come walking and some come lame, walking in Jerusalem, just like John.
Okay, yes, I know it well, yes.
And he'd sing that song, and I would do the answer. And the funny thing about Smarty Bates, he'd always introduce the band, and he gets on there and he commits. He said, well, I'm going to introduce the band to you. He named Billy Gushu. Billy Gushu was a Newfoundlander that came sometimes with us.
Okay.
And then there was Shell and me, and Shell's wife, Janice, was there with us. And we'd always open the show. And then we'd bring Smarty up after we'd done so many minutes of our own show. And he'd introduce Shell. He said, on my left is my right-hand man.
Yes.
That would be Shell.
Uh-huh.
And then he said, and the lady in the band is Shell's wife, Janice. And then he'd say, and Mr. Billy Gushu here plays with us the odd time. And he said, and on my right, if you look closely, you'll notice, he's the man who is built like the instrument that he plays. And he said, and he'd say, and he never gets mad at me because I'm always teasing him. He said, he never gets mad at me. He said, you can tell who eats the best in the band. Now he'd love to see me now because I'm down 80 pounds from what I was.
We're going to have to start soon calling you Small Al.
Small Al, yeah. Small Al, that's what I'll go by.
So tell us a little bit about a song that you recorded titled, and I believe you did write it. It was called The Canadian Flag, with this being Canada Day and all.
Okay, I guess I would start way back with, I went into the archives to get some of the information from it because we were under the Union Jack when I did this, when I started it.
Okay, yes.
To write it, when I started to write it. And that's where I got it hold of. Diefenbaker was in office then. And I started to write. I said, well, in some of the things I found out that King George gave us the red and white colors.
Oh.
That's where we got them. He allotted Canada the red and the white.
Okay.
And then when you see the maple leaf on it, he said, and the maple leaf was the emblem of Canada. So that's where that came from.
I see, yes.
And then I started writing. I said, well, at the time that I was writing this, I said the Canadian flag was already born, but I want to tell you how it originated and when we went back in 1957, I think it was, to make the new Canadian flag. And I do tell you in the song that I wrote how it worked in Ottawa on the date. I can't just think right off my head now with the date now, but I had the date in it, and it's in the song.
Yes.
And the whole story is in that song. If you listen to that song, you'll see that most of the songs that I write, you're going to hear about the past tense and present of this particular item that I'm writing about.
Exactly. And that's what I like about your stories.
I did the same thing with the Empress of Ireland. I'll bet you that there are many, many people in Ontario and Canada itself that do not even know about that song. That the biggest disaster in Canadian history was on the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah.
And it got hit by a ship coming in from out the Newfoundland Way, coming in up the St. Lawrence, and a little bit of fog, and all of a sudden the coal ship hit the Empress of Ireland and tore a 300-foot hole in the side of it. And within 14 minutes, it was on the bottom. And some people never even got out of their cabins.
And the thing, I understand from talking to you before that it was around the same time as the Titanic, but it was our Canadian Titanic.
It was 2 years after the Titanic.
Yes.
And the Titanic got all the write-up, and we hardly anything went in there.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, Big Al. Yes.
Yeah, so there was hardly anything wrote about it. I don't know why. I often wondered that, but
I don't know how it ever went unseen or unmentioned.
But you'll get that same thing. You'll get the whole story in that song. And then I wrote the story of the biggest court case in the history of Canada, which was the story of the Black Donnellys from Lucan, Ontario, who the town got together with a vigilante committee and murdered them in their house. And there was nobody formally charged with that. Charges, but nobody lived through it. There was only one little witness with the young fella. There was a young kid that was staying overnight because they were going to court the next day, and he was going to stay and look after the animals on the farm.
Did you ever get backlash or remarks from your writing about them like Earl Haywood did?
No, Not really. I knew Earl Haywood really well. He was quite a guy. And I had a couple of pictures that I put into it that belonged to a doctor from Toronto. And I had to write him and get his permission. He said, well, I'll give you permission for the pictures, but I want a copy of the
album.
And I said, absolutely, you'll get a copy.
Yeah.
So and I was at the farm many times.
Okay.
Down the
Old Roman line.
The old Roman line and in the churchyard.
Yes.
I was there too when the old tombstone was there. And the old tombstone said that it's such and such Bob Donnelly and all the rest that named them were murdered. They didn't put murder on the new one.
I see. That's where they put the new one in. I see. Okay.
And if they'd left the old one there, they would have had nothing left because people were coming in with a little chisel and hammer and taking chunks off it.
That's what I understand. Because, see, my mother went to school up that way, Lucan, Ontario, but she often said that is one place you don't want to be at night.
Yes, they say strange things happen and on the Roman line, and they say horses don't want to go by it. Even now the horses. But I'll tell you, I was there one time because some of my kids, Dad, can we go and see that? I said, sure, I'll drive us down and we'll show you that. There's not much left there. There's only a hole in the ground where the cabin was, where the house was.
I see.
But the maple trees are down in the laneway now. Still, they're still there.
I see. Yeah.
So I stopped there and I'm telling the kids about this and about that and all going on. And boy, out of the blue, a car passed us. He must have been doing 100 miles an hour.
Oh, wow. He was trying to get off it.
I don't know where he was going or what he was doing, but he passed us when I was stopped. And they said, what the heck was that? And I said, I don't know. I can't see it. What it was a car, I'm sure.
Yes.
But anyway, they say strange things happen on the Roman line, and there you go. There's one right while we were there.
That's right.
They said, the kids said, let's get out of here.
Exactly. I don't blame them.
I said, okay, we'll go.
So, next, tell us about the art of recitation.
Well, I'll tell you something really funny. First about it. I'll tell you how I learned to do it.
Okay.
Hours with Smiley Bates.
Yes.
I was up in the cabin, and I was staying there all weekend. I had my own motorhome, so I drive it up, and I drive it on his piece of property up. He owned a cabin in the hill in Bent River.
That's right. Yes, Bent River.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we sit there, and he'd say, Al, you gotta be into your song for one. Never record the song till you know how to do it. Okay, that's right. And he said, phrasing, that's what you need.
Exactly.
You need to be able to phrase the song. And I'd say, okay, phrasing, what's phrasing? He'd show me. Then he'd tell me how to do it.
It's like timing, is it not?
It is timing.
Yes.
It is and emphasis.
Okay.
He said, don't leave your voice at the same tone. Lead the story like you're telling it to somebody. I said, oh, yeah, okay. He said, the same emphasis you use to tell somebody that's how you sing the song. Yeah. Okay, I got that now. Because I used to do the golden guitar.
Okay, yes, you did.
When you would do it. And I did the Old Doc Brown. And he said, don't you record, he said, till I'm gone or else you're going to kill me. And I said, oh, no, I never could do that.
No, exactly.
But the funny part that I got, coming from Arizona, I got a call from a disc jockey in Arizona, and he said, Al Trainer. He said, Al Trainer. He said, are you the Al Trainer that does Old Doc Brown, the golden guitar? And I said, yes, I have them recorded. Well, he said, I want you to do a recording for me and my partner here at the station. We have a song written, The Titanic, and we have a friend up in Canada who works along with us. And I said, who would that be? He said, the singing Newfoundlander.
That's right, Michael T. Wall.
Michael T. Wall.
Yes.
And he said, Michael T. Wall is going to call you and ask you, will you recite this song for the Titanic for us and record it? I said, okay, I'll try that.
Another thing I was going to ask is, are you getting out to any of the jamborees or festivals?
I'm asked to go up, but I don't go too far.
I see.
What? How would I say? You get tired.
Yes, you do. I understand that, yeah.
I think I fell 3 times.
Oh, wow. That's not good.
In the weekend when I was setting up all my equipment.
Yes.
And then I said, when I fell twice, and I said, if I fall once more.
That's it, yeah.
I'm going home.
I see.
So I did, and I went down one more, and I said, that's it. And a young fellow there that was going to be the sound man, he said, "Al, you get in the car." He said, "I'll pick up your stuff.
I see.
You just
Okay.
you just relax."
Yeah, exactly.
So then I never went back, but I still. Well, this has been a great
trip
whatever.
down
How
memory
long are
lane.
we? Okay, I want to thank you for everything.
And you stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
And tell that guy that you said is running the country. Recognize this song and let people hear it a few times.
Yes, I sure will, Big Al.
There
for
is no
sure.
there is no master song for the flag that I know of.
No.
Okay,
Well,
I'm gonna let you go now.
You
again.
take care, and we'll talk to you soon, Big Al. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
The Canadian flag. Yes, this country, Canada, was new, and most Canadians can remember back when the flag flown in Canada was the British Union Jack. From the days of Confederation, so proudly it flew on Canadian flagpoles. It was red, white, and blue. All through World War I, and yes again through World War II, many brave young Canadians gave their all for the red, white, and blue. And in Flanders fields, where the poppies grow, where brave young men lay row on row, they gave their lives, but these brave men knew it was for home and country and the red, white, and blue. But Canadian people knew Canada was their home, and what they wanted most was a flag of their own. They placed a red maple leaf on a white background, and the Canadian flag was new. It flew high and proud in Canada, and it replaced the red, white, and blue. Oh, it was a great flag, twice as long as it is wide. Flew the first time in Ottawa on February the 15th, 1965. King George V in November 1921 gave Canada red and white in a proclamation, and the French and the English had already chosen the maple leaf as their emblem of our nation. It was red and white and very bright as it fluttered in the Canadian breeze, reminding us all our country is free and of our beautiful maple trees. The flag was born and recognized on February the 15th, 1965. The only sad thing about our flag is since then, over 100 young men from Canada have died. These young men who gave their all, and yes, we Canadians feel so bad that our sons and daughters come back to us covered up with our new flag. Today, high above the Parliament buildings, the Canadian flag flies free, thanks to our young soldiers who died for their country. God bless Canada and always keep her free.
Well, yes, friends, once again, before we say so long from the Way Back with Johnny show, it's once again that time in the program to pay tribute to our Way Back Song of the Week. With that mentioned, and this being a Canadian tribute today, I would like to pay tribute to two hit records out of the 1960s. First of all, it's going to be an all-time classic by Hal Willis of Quebec, and his all-time 1965 hit classic that rose all the way up to number 5 on the Billboard charts. It was a 1.5 million copies sold back in 1965, called The Lumberjack, which also gained him the nickname The Lumberjack. Then we will hear from Ray Griff, one of the greatest Canadian country music pioneers and singer-songwriters to ever record and write songs in Canada. And from 1969, it's going to be Ray Griff and his all-time classic, Canadian Pacific. With that, I would like to welcome you all in and say we will be back following this Send Us All Home. Welcome in, friends, and happy listening.
Canadian Pacific.
I rode your ocean liner to Newfoundland, where I made a living in an iron mine. When I got my fill, I went to Nova Scotia, and I fished the salty waters for a time. Passing through Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick, I could see the rocks and cliffs of solid stone. Listening to the seagulls calling to each other made me miss my darling and my distant home. Canadian Pacific, carry me 3,000 miles through the valleys and the forests to the sunshine of her smile. Cross the plains and rugged mountains, keep this wandering boy from harm. Canadian Pacific, take me to my baby's arms. The Atlantic disappeared on the horizon, and Quebec lay waiting for me down the track. For a while I drove a truck to keep from starving. In Ontario I was a lumberjack. Manitoba and Saskatchewan then followed, where the wheat fields and the old Red River flows. In the quiet hours your whistle on the prairie touched my heart and set my memories aglow. I could feel the nearness of her warm soft kisses when you rolled into Alberta westward bound. I worked on an oil rig to make some money for a ticket to the sweetest girl around. Pushing on past Lake Louise in all its splendor, where the trees and Rockies touch the sky above. I got to British Columbia and heaven. On your tracks I made it back to my true love. Canadian Pacific, carry me 3,000 miles through the valleys and the forests to the sunshine of her smile. Cross the plains and rugged mountains, keep this wandering boy from harm. Canadian Pacific.
Well, I walk along the river with my new sweet saw, with a file in the pocket of my old Mackinaw. I'm headed for the woods each morning at the break of day. As I take a little shortcut over the hill, I can hear the whistle blow at the old sawmill. It's the night gang a-leaving for the bunkhouse across the bay. Well, I'm sitting on the tree stump eating Johnny cake. I heard the whistle blow ahead to take a break. I'm a-boiling up my tea in an old tin can, 'cause that is the life of a lumberjack man. I'm gonna cut me a jackpine tall and limber. You better step aside when I haul her timber. My double-dead axe is gonna make the big chips fly. Oh, when the cut is clean, I'll set my wedge and I'll drive it into place with a 9-pound sledge. I've already picked a spot where this big trees are gonna lie. Well, I'm sitting on a tree stump eating Johnny cake. I heard the whistle blow, I had to take a break. I'm a-boiling up my tea in an old tin can, 'cause that is the life of a lumberjack man. Well, the swammer's getting ready to take my load, skidding off my logs and pile them on the road. I'm a-waiting for the jammer to put them on the sleigh. Well, the boss man's a come in to scale my lumber. I better make sure that he's got the right number before I let the logs go rolling on their way.
Now, friends, it's once again time to say so long from the Way Back with Johnny show here on CFRC and also www.oshrocks.com. And also time to say so long from the 2025 Canada Day show and celebration. With that mentioned, I would like to play us all home today with thanking each and every one of you for being part of this week's program. Without you, my listeners, there would be no show and there would be no Johnny Woodlock. I'd also like to thank each and every one of you for your patriotism to our great country of Canada, especially this year when we are up against some mighty evil people. But with that mentioned, we will send us all home with remembering both sides of our countries and the friendship that we used to have with them. First of all, it's going to be a song going out to our American listeners and friends, none other than Doc and Chicky Williams of Wheeling, West Virginia, and an all-time classic titled Looking for a Soldier's Grave. And then we'll wrap up this set with none other than Stompin' Tom Connors and a song going out to all our brave men and women who have fought during the wars, and it's going to be an all-time classic by Stompin' Tom that was recorded on his last project shortly before he passed away, and it's going to be the Flanders Field song. With that, I hope each and every one of you have a blessed and safe week, and may God bless each and every one of us and our two countries. So long for now, friends, and yes, happy Canada Day and also happy Independence Day. Catch y'all next weekend. So long, friends.
You ask a stranger why I made this journey, why I crossed 3,000 miles of rolling plains. Like many others, my loved one was killed in action. That's why I'm here. I'm searching for his grave. Somewhere here, among these many thousands, all Americans who all like to embrace. There's where I know I'll find him resting, and so I'm here. I'm searching for his grave.
Bunker Hill, Saratoga, Yorktown, Bull Run, Gettysburg, Vicksburg, Lookout Mountain, the Little Bighorn, the Alamo, Waterloo, the Charge of San Juan Hill, New Orleans, Dunkirk, the Battle of the Bulge, Guadalcanal, Normandy, the crossing of the Rhine, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, Flanders Field, Korea, and Arlington. Beside each cross mark, here all around me, I'll kneel down and gladly say a prayer for all of their loved ones back home across the ocean, whose hearts like mine are buried over here. Somewhere here, among these many thousands of Americans who all died true and brave, there's where I know
in Flanders fields, where poppies grow between the crosses, row on row, our graves are marked, as here we lie, out where the larks still bravely singing fly, yet scarcely heard amid the guns below, in Flanders fields where the poppies grow, in Flanders fields not long ago, we felt the dawnings and the sunset's glow. We lived and loved, and with great pride we left our homes and then for freedom died. But are we dead? Do you answer no? In Flanders fields where poppies grow, in Flanders fields we fought our foe, and from our hands now the torch we throw, and as it burns, please hold it high, for if you break the faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though fair winds blow, in Flanders fields where poppies grow. We shall not sleep, though fair winds blow, in Flanders fields where the poppies grow.
Another day gone by with good friends all around me. How the time did fly.
Howdy, friends and listeners. This here is your old host with most, Johnny Woodlock, reporting for Way Back with Johnny over this great channel. The previous show does not represent anything associated with the channel heard on. It is the sole associate of Woodlock Ranch Studios, Cornwall, Ontario. With that, have a great day, and we'll catch y'all next week. So long, friends.
Is here a few